I slipped, accidentally, and fell into my stepson's arms. That was the excuse I told myself over and over, until it stopped sounding like a lie, until it stopped sounding like anything at all. Let me tell you the story. Stripped of dignity, devoid of excuses. You can be the judge of whether I deserve what happened after. My name is Claire, 42F. I married David, 51M, 11 years ago. He was a senior consultant at an energy firm, handsome in a sharp-edged, efficient kind of way, and carried himself like he always knew what the next move should be. I met him when I was 30 and working as an event planner. He was a client. I organized his company's annual gala. He liked how calm I stayed under pressure. I liked how decisive he was. 6 months later, he proposed. No grand gesture, just a velvet box on the table during breakfast. "This makes sense," he said. And I agreed. David had a son, Ethan, 25 MR now, from a previous marriage. At the time of our wedding, Ethan was 14, moody, sarcastic, and obsessed with gaming. He lived full-time with his mother. I met him only a few times before the wedding and kept my distance, partly because I wasn't too sure how to parent a teenager, and partly because David told me not to get too involved. "He has a mother," he said. "You're not here to replace her." So I didn't. Ethan and I existed in parallel lanes for years. I sent polite birthday cards. I baked cookies when he came to visit. I didn't expect affection or closeness, and I never got it. But everything changed when Ethan moved in with us at 19 to attend a local university. His mom had downsized, and our place was closer to campus. I thought it would be temporary. It wasn't. At first, I treated him like a roommate, respectful distance. I stocked the fridge with the snacks he liked, folded his laundry when he left it in the dryer. He didn't say thank you, but he stopped avoiding me in the hallway. Progress. The real shift came during lockdown. David was working from home full-time, but you'd never know it. He locked himself in the home office from 9 to 7 every day and emerged only to eat or criticize something I had done differently than he would have. Ethan, on the other hand, came out of his room. He started cooking. He'd sit with me while I had tea. He asked me about my work, my hobbies, the books I read. Once we sat through a 4-hour documentary on ancient civilizations, just because I mentioned I liked archaeology as a kid. It was small stuff. But it felt like being seen for the first time in years. I didn't plan to get close. I didn't even realize it was happening. Until one night, after the power went out. The night that tilted the world. It was February. A storm had knocked out electricity. David was away on a business trip, staying at a hotel with backup generators and room service. Ethan and I lit candles, made grilled cheese sandwiches on the gas stove, and opened a bottle of wine that had been sitting untouched since Christmas. We sat on the living room floor, laughing about how unprepared we were. At one point, he asked, "Do you ever wonder if this is it? Like, this is all life's gonna be?" I shrugged. More than I'd like to admit. He looked at me for a long moment and said, "You seem sad. Not now, but in general." I didn't know how to respond, so I didn't. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was heavy, charged, like standing at the edge of something. That night, nothing happened, but the line had been drawn, and we both saw it. The breaking point. The actual moment, the fall, if you want to call it that, happened months later. We had just hosted a dinner party for David's firm. I spent the entire week preparing, shopping, cooking, decorating, printing menus. David made exactly 0 effort. When the guests arrived, he handed out business cards while I served appetizers. After everyone left, David mumbled a thanks and went straight to bed. I stayed behind, cleaning dishes in silence. Ethan walked into the kitchen, grabbed a towel, and started drying. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," I said, scrubbing a pan like it had personally offended me. "No, you're not." I turned to snap at him, something sarcastic and defensive, but I slipped on a patch of water near the sink. Literally slipped, lost my balance. He caught me, and I didn't pull away. For a second, I just let myself lean into him. His arms were warm, steady. He said nothing. Neither did I. I wish I could say that was the end of it, but that would be a lie. It wasn't immediate. but it wasn't long. We avoided each other for a week. Then one night, after David left for a conference, Ethan knocked on my door. He didn't say anything, just stood there, eyes full of something between guilt and need. I should have told him to leave. I should have reminded him I was his stepmother, that I was married, that this was insane. Instead, I stepped aside and let him in. The first time wasn't romantic, it was clumsy and quiet. Afterwards, we sat in silence. He got dressed, left. We didn't talk about it. But it happened again, and again. We told ourselves we'd stop, that it was a one-time lapse, then a two-time mistake, then a three-time crisis. Eventually, we stopped counting. It unraveled on a Wednesday. David came home early from work. I was in the laundry room. My phone was on the counter. He walked in holding it. "Want to explain this?" he asked, holding the screen up. A message from Ethan. "Still thinking about last night. I can still taste you." Everything froze. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. David didn't yell. He didn't ask questions. He placed the phone on the dryer, walked out. He moved into a hotel that night. Ethan left the next morning, packed a single duffel bag, said, "I'm sorry," before walking out the door. I didn't stop him. David didn't speak to me for weeks. When he did, it was only to discuss the divorce. There was no courtroom drama, no screaming matches, just cold logistics. He bought out my share of the house. I took the car. We divided assets like strangers. His sister called me a whore. His mother sent me a letter saying I was going to hell. My own friends stopped inviting me out. One of them told me, "I'd rather not have to choose between you and my conscience." Fair. Ethan never came back. He didn't return texts. Deleted his social media. I assume he moved back with his mom. Maybe he told her. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he regrets everything. Maybe he doesn't. I live alone now. 2-bedroom rental in a quiet neighborhood. I sleep better, mostly. Eat less. Talk to myself too much. I haven't dated anyone seriously. A few casual things that went nowhere. Sometimes I miss David. Not the man, but the structure, the predictability, the illusion of stability. Other times, I miss Ethan. The way he looked at me like I was someone new. But mostly, I miss who I used to be before I became this version of myself. The woman who betrayed a marriage, who crossed an unforgivable line. Do I regret it? Yes. And no. I regret the secrecy, the cowardice, the harm I caused. But I don't regret waking up. I don't regret realizing I'd lived a decade as wallpaper in my own home. That I was invisible until someone, not my husband, finally saw me. If you came here for a moral, I don't have one. This isn't a cautionary tale. It's not a confession. It's just the truth. I didn't trip and fall into Ethan's arms by accident. I leaned, and he caught me. And I stayed there longer than I should have. Not out of lust, not even love, but because for a moment I remembered what it was like to feel alive. And I wasn't ready to give that up.